Hey guys, today we're talking about the Diadem Elevate V3. This is not the Tour or the light version, just the Elevate V3. This one is 305 grams and the Tour version is 315. The light version is 290. So you got a little bit of differences in those. First off, I really love the color. I really love the blue, like this kind of electric blue. It's got like a little purple in it. Really like that. I like the feel, something about the way, I guess, the coating is on the racket. It feels nice. This is a flat beam racket. Let's see the specs. It's a 98 square inch head. Like I said, it's 10.8 ounces or 305 grams unstrung. And the pattern on the strings is 16 by 20. This here on the racket says 7 points headlight. So I'm sure the specs would match that online. I've played with this racket a good bit, and today I just decided to do a demo on the ball machine, hitting some ground strokes, hitting some volleys, getting some serves in, just to kind of show you guys, how I'm hitting with it. Overall, my experience with the racket has been good. It feels nice. It does, despite being, the same weight as a blade, it feels a little bit heavier to me than a blade, which is what I'm normally playing with. It's got a good bit of power to it. It's a little harder to control than a blade, and I think that's probably due to the string spacing. You probably can't see it amazing here. Can't really see it well here, but the spacing in the sweet spot of the racket is a little bit more spread out than a lot of rackets I've seen. I think it's probably unique in that sense, and I think that does make it a little bit more launch friendly. So it is something you'd have to get used to, but I do feel like this thing on serves, it's got a nice pop to it. Volleys, I love hitting volleys. I think the ground strokes are probably the hardest thing for me to dial in. But it does say on the website, the Diadem's website, that this is for an aggressive, precise ball striker, and I think just based off of what I've experienced, that's pretty accurate. So if you're like a grinding machine from the baseline and you're not super aggressive with your shots, it might be a little bit more difficult to deal with. One thing to note here on this racket in particular is that the grip, the first one I ordered was 4 1/4, which is what I typically play with because I've got smaller hands. I like a slightly smaller grip, and it felt like a 3/8 to me. So this is actually the second one I've gotten, which is I sized down to 4 1/8, which effectively feels like 4 1/4 to me from like a Wilson or a head racket. So I think you definitely need to take that into account. It seems like the size on this is maybe off by 1, something that maybe Diadem could get fixed up. And yeah, my main thing with this racket is the spacing in the center. If they could tighten that up a little bit and make it comparable to something like a blade, I think this thing would really shine, honestly. I would say that this racket probably lends itself well to a taller person who's serving big and coming into the net, and I think that that extra weight that it feels like it has is going to reward a player like that. Slices felt pretty good. They felt predictable. They felt like I wasn't having to work too hard for them, so I would say that slicing felt really nice too. Overall, I'd probably, if I had to rate it out of 10, probably give it like a 7.5. I think because of the grip discrepancy, the string spacing, these are my my negatives, and then that like a little bit of that heaviness that I think I would prefer something that felt truer to that 305 gram. But otherwise, I do really like the feel of the racket.